Okey-doke, it's
Perfect. Welcome everybody to Fieldstone4U. This is our first Fieldstone4U for 2022. Cannot believe it's 2022. I've written 2021 a couple times now, so I have to get used to that. But welcome. So happy to have all of you here. We have a great room. We have 28 people, so it's a great turnout. Obviously, a very important topic. And I'll tell you a little bit about the history of how this all came to be. I do ask that you mute yourself initially until it's an interactive part of the presentation, just to block out any outside noises. Hayley has already asked you to rename yourself if you can, or in your title there, if you could just put your organization, and then in the chat, let everybody know what your what brings you joy. That was a fun little opener. I'm sure it's interactive. If you have questions throughout, just raise your hand and Hayley will ask you to unmute and then you can chat. Fieldstone4U came out of the pandemic. We recognized that there were a lot of topics that people needed to hear, and there were some issues that were, just critical. And we thought, how can we get the content out to everybody? And thankfully, Zoom was our friend. And we all became experts on it. And so we created a whole new program, and we will continue this into perpetuity because it's a perfect way for us to bring content to you at 4 o'clock, seems to be the best time. And we can get it to you so people don't have to leave their desk and they don't have to worry about driving. And it just seems to work for everybody. And then when it's appropriate, we will record it. And then Robin Stropko created a YouTube channel for us, so you can access it on our YouTube channel, but Robin will get the link and she can send it to you. And then certainly, Hayley, I know you mentioned that you got some people that wanted the recorded version, and we have a couple as well, so Robin can send it out. But just so that you know, in either Robin's or my signature is our YouTube channel link, and then you can go and you could search any of the previous Fieldstone4U topics on there. So, just a little bit of housekeeping and updates. All of our learning groups got pushed out to February just with the Omicron variant. It was just not safe for us to meet in person last month, but we are confident that we're able to meet together in February. So our reading group is going to be in person, and all of our learning groups did not start in January. They will start in February, and they're running through July. So we're super excited to meet in person. We have 2 full groups of the emerging leader, the group for COOs and program people and operations. So we're really excited for those folks. And then we have a CEO group as well. And our executive coaching cohort has never been bigger. So again, I think it speaks to the burnout issue of what's going on. Certainly just times have been hard these last 2 years. And so we're happy that Fieldstone can be a resource for you to empower you to be whatever kind of leader you would like to be. I want to thank Janet Buck and Maren McGill from First Republic Bank, because they are our partners and they're always here for the nonprofits. I know they were so helpful when people were filling out the PPP paperwork, and they were so helpful just to answer phone calls and emails whenever anybody had any questions. So I just want to really thank them for their partnership, as they really believe in the work that is being done in the Orange County nonprofit community. So thank you to Janet and Maren. And I want to I'm going to introduce Hayley to you. Hayley's going to be our speaker. Hayley was in my group last year in the Emerging Leader group, the Nonprofit Leader Learning Group. She came to us pregnant and left and came back and now has a new baby. So exciting. So Hayley is, what do they say? If you want something done, give it to a busy person. And Hayley's probably one of the busiest people I know, and is always willing to just help and jump in and just do whatever she can to help other leaders. So Hayley was an active member in the network, and about 2 months ago came to me and said, I have this topic I feel very passionate about. I'd love to share it with the network. So we thought, what perfect timing to do it at the start of 2022. So Hayley founded a nonprofit organization when she was 24 years old. Like I said, you want something done, you give it to Hayley. She feels very strongly about that nonprofit leaders don't take care of themselves as much as they should. And so her mission is to empower, elevate, and engage leaders to build healthy, thriving organizations. She's on the board of AFP. She's on the incoming board chair for the Orange County Nonprofit Professionals Network, and truly has a brand new baby. She has 2 little ones, under 1 or under 2?
Two under two. 22 months apart.
All right. So she's a busy woman and professional, and I'm so excited to hear from you. So without further ado, Hayley, it's all yours.
Well, thank you, Robin. And can you hear me or is that good? Robin and the Fieldstone leadership cohort, I was so appreciative to be a part of that group. And I know Netta and Delaney are here who are also in that group. And it's such a valuable opportunity to learn together and feel like you're not alone in this. And what I loved about it was, I think I was the only fundraiser in the group. So there are people from all over the nonprofit space, and we were able to learn from each other from our different perspectives. So we're gonna get started. So before we get started, I know that you have probably run from meeting to meeting today, and it's only Tuesday, and it's probably been a crazy week already. I mean, January, I don't even know what happened. So before we get started, I want you to find a comfortable position. And obviously, Tommy, you can't because you're driving, so keep your eyes open. And place your feet on the ground beneath you. And we're gonna take a deep breath because we're just gonna be here for this 45 minutes and learn and be here together. So we're gonna take a deep breath together. We're gonna inhale, so take a big inhale. And then we're just gonna let the day go, just exhale, let it go. And I just truly want to say how thankful I am for you all being here in this room and in this space together. You are so strong and courageous for doing this work and showing up today. You are so important to me and every single person in this room, and you are such a gift to all of us. So thank you so much for being here and dedicating this time to learn how to prevent nonprofit burnout. So some expectations, I know Robin already went over this, but take good care of yourself these next 45 minutes. Any type of coworker is welcome. Kids, creatures, coworkers, plants, whatever you want. Like she said, turn off your mic and then feel free to use the chat box throughout. And you can also raise your hand and I'll answer questions along the way and at the end. So just to go over what you're going to learn, we're going to go over some of the pain points of burnout, key learning points on how to reduce burnout and turnover, and then you'll learn the impact on your culture, work environment, and how to elevate yourself. And then at the end, we'll open it up for conversation. And again, I want to say a special thank you to Robin and the Fieldstone leadership cohort that I participated in last year. So she gave you a little bit of background about me. If you want to learn more about me, you can go on my LinkedIn. I do have 2 boys under 2, and we adopted one and gave birth within 3 weeks of each other. So it's an exciting time in my household. But most importantly, I am a nonprofit burnout survivor, and I have been in the trenches with you. I have been a one-shop director of development. I have been alone. I felt alone, overwhelmed, inadequate, and helpless. And it wasn't until I found this process that I'm about to tell you about, the EMC process, that I really understood how to understand the language of emotions, what I was feeling, put a name to them, and build better connected teams and make sure that my fears and my needs were heard and not being scared of that, and creating space so that other people could have their fears and their needs expressed as well. And throughout this process, we're going to learn how to create stronger, more connected relationships to feel confident and secure and able to carry out what our goals and our tasks are. And we'll go from being emotionally reactive to emotionally responsive. So if you're not familiar, and I just want to say thank you again so much for being here, and you're so strong and courageous for being here. And I just wanted to go briefly over the signs of burnout. I think that burnout can be normalized and it's not expressed a lot of times. So here, and you might not know that you're experiencing burnout until you're in the trenches of it. And I get it. This is hard work. You're on the front lines dealing with suffering and hardship each and every day. And oftentimes, we don't have a safe place to express what we're feeling or what we're experiencing. And burnout is an emotional and mental issue. And when there isn't that safety to express what we're feeling, that's when disconnection happens. And a little science for you, when you are disconnected, your prefrontal cortex cannot function because your amygdala, which houses your emotions, take over. And so if they're in a highly emotional scenario, your logical brain isn't functioning anymore. And so we need to learn how to work with those together to regulate your emotions and so that you can think logically and execute what's been given to you. So some of the signs of burnout are you are reactive. Within an organization, there is strong turnover, which is common in nonprofits, but doesn't need to be. You have trouble sleeping, you're up all night worrying, you lack energy, you don't have joy for the things that you used to want to do. That's why I wanted to ask what's bringing you joy, because you lack joys for things that used to bring you joy. You're experiencing anxiety and you don't know why. You lack motivation. You lack the passion that you once had for your mission. You're isolating, and burnout is so lonely. And you continue to isolate because you don't know what to do and you feel all alone and you feel helpless. And you're moody and emotional and you don't know why. So I am sure that you are all here because you've probably identified with more than one of the above. You recognize that staff turnover is affecting your bottom line and mission, but you don't know what to do. And you are all change makers in this space, and you're doing the best you can with the resources you can, but you don't know how to make a change within your own organization. And we are all vision seekers, so we have a vision of where we want to go, but we don't know how to get there, and we don't know how to get everyone on board with that vision. So why does this matter? Well, unfortunately, the cost of turnover is actually 2 times an employee's salary. So it's really expensive to lose an employee rather than retain them. And research shows that employees, how they feel in the workplace directly affects their work behavior and their on-the-job performance. Every single person within your organization wants to feel valued and cared for. They want to feel like you're there for them and vice versa. So let's now learn how to, like I said, go from emotionally reactive to emotionally responsive and holding that space for each other in this work. So we're going to talk about building emotionally connected teams. And again, I learned this process through the EMC process, which was developed by Lola Gershfield. And the whole process is really about understanding the language of emotions, how you respond to certain situations, and being able to create positive cycles. So an exceptional nonprofit leader is a self-aware leader. You practice recognizing your own emotions, and you work with your team to help them do the same. And when you do that, a bond happens, and you're able to create a community where you create emotional connections. And like I said, you create a space where everyone feels valued, like they belong, like they're important to the team, and like you care, and like they matter to achieving the mission and what your organization is trying to achieve. You want to create a space where people feel like they can show up as themselves and be authentic and know that their best work is going towards a greater purpose. The next thing, and I've seen this a lot, is where the vision isn't clearly communicated down. And so it's really important for people to understand, like I said, when you're fostering a sense of community, to know what you're working towards and know what the vision is. Because morale can suffer if they don't have a clear vision of how their work contributes to the greater purpose of the organization. So one way to do this is to weave it into every interaction and every meeting that you have. Bring it back to the vision, bring it back to the mission, and really embody what that means for your organization. Remind them of why they do what they do and what their long-term goals are, and again, why they matter and why they're important towards achieving those goals. And when you implement these things, you will see that your performance will skyrocket. People will be engaged, there'll be collaboration among teams, and your overall productivity towards your mission will increase. Another thing that I found is creating a culture of celebration. We often get into the trenches and we forget to celebrate the wins and remind people of the good that's happening around us. I was just in a meeting and that was the number one thing on the top of our agenda. And they were all so excited because they come to a meeting, they're stressed out from all the things that are going on, and they just take a second to celebrate the wins and remind themselves of the good work that they're doing for their mission. So there are 4 components to becoming more emotionally intelligent. And I would love to know if anyone wants to type in the chat box what they think emotional intelligence is, or you can raise your hand and I'll call on you. So I'd love to know if anyone has a definition of emotional intelligence. Anyone? Give us a few more. All right, so emotional intelligence is understanding your own emotional experiences, understanding them in the context of other people and understanding other people's emotional experiences, and then maintaining healthy relationships and building more emotionally intelligent organizations. So these 4 components, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management, will help you navigate through complex emotional situations. And like I said, nonprofit organizations are highly emotional. You're dealing with suffering and hardship. It is hard work. So you'll be able to navigate these through effortless ways by understanding them better, understanding your coworkers better, so that you can build those positive connections. And then you'll be able to make better decisions because you'll be emotionally responsive and not emotionally reactive. Self-awareness means you identify the emotions within yourself. You understand your triggers and your automatic responses to different situations. Self-aware people are aware of their emotions, how those affect others, and then they can regulate themselves accordingly. Self-management is when you identify fears and need and the negative cycle of interaction. We never want to get in a cycle of blame. It's always a negative cycle and a negative dance that you've gotten into. Then you'll learn how to reach for positive connection. So you'll understand the fears and needs of yourself, and you'll understand the fears and needs of other people and allow that space to acknowledge what those are. So this could look like, Robin, I am so scared right now and I don't know what the future is. And I just want to know that everything is okay. And you validate what their emotions are, what they're feeling, and let them know that everything is going to be okay. And you make them feel like they're heard and they're valued. Social awareness is how to create a safe environment for people to share their fears and needs, and how to respond to emotions correctly in a responsive way. In relationship management is a little bit like I said before, is you create positive cycles of engagement. So you manage your emotional connections with other people and use empathy instead of resorting to criticism or blame as responses. So some tips to become more self-aware. You should learn the language of emotions. start to recognize when you get triggered. And like I said before, your amygdala will, when you're highly emotional, your amygdala is going to overtake and hijack your prefrontal cortex, and it's going to go full speed ahead. There's going to be a lot of energy towards those emotions. So we need to learn how to slow down those emotions. And one of the best ways to do that is deep breathing. So we're all here, and we're going to do a little exercise where we practice deep breathing, because deep breathing is a fundamental part in regulating your emotions. So you can turn off your screen, you can keep it on, whatever you want. But I want you to begin by making yourself comfortable. And if you're sitting in a chair, allow your back to be straight, but not stiff. So relax into it. With your feet firmly on the ground. You could also practice standing if you prefer, or you can lie down, whatever works for you. Your hands could be resting gently in your lap or at your side, and allow your eyes to close or to remain open with a soft gaze. Take several long, slow, and deep breaths. So we're going to do that together. We're going to inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. You want to breathe in slowly and exhale slowly. Breathe in through your nose and out through your nose or your mouth. Begin to let go of the noises around you and really tune in to right now. If you are distracted by the sounds in the room, simply notice this and bring your focus back to your breathing. Just notice it without judgment. You might imagine sending your breath down to your feet, as if the breath is traveling through your nose to the lungs and through the abdomen, all the way down to your feet. And then back up again, out through your nose and lungs. Perhaps you don't feel anything at all. That is fine too. Just allow yourself to feel the sensation of not feeling anything and just taking these moments for yourself to really be present and take some deep breaths. Observe what you're feeling and experiencing as you're taking these deep breaths. And then you want to travel that breath up into your legs and breathe in and breathe out of the legs. And if your mind begins to wander during this exercise, which it will, it's normal, gently notice this without judgment and bring your mind and your breath back to the present and to your breath. And just take deep breaths and inhale and exhale. And I want you to move your breath next up to your abdomen and just take a few deep breaths there, softening and releasing and noticing where you hold any tension. And then continue up to your chest and realize how your chest rises during your inhale and lowers during your exhale. And then I want you to move it up to your head and just notice any tension that you're holding. It could be tightness, rigidity, or holding. And you may notice the shoulders moving along with the breath. Let go of any thoughts or stories you are telling about this area. And as you breathe, you may feel tension rolling off your shoulders from the emotional day or emotional week or emotional month. And it's only February. Observe all the sensations that are occurring throughout your body. And as you exhale, you might notice a softening of any tension you may be holding. And as you come to the end of this practice, take a full deep breath. So we're going to take it together and out, and take in all of the energy and the calming of this practice. And when you're ready, open your eyes and return your attention to the present moment. And as you become fully alert and awake, consider setting the intention of this practice of building emotional awareness and self-awareness that'll benefit you in every contact throughout the rest of the week. Another thing that I want to talk about is that I want to normalize that it's okay to feel this way. And we don't need to pass judgment on these feelings like we did in that practice. We just need to notice them, but it's it's okay to feel this way, and you're not alone. I am assuming that multiple people in this room, including myself, have felt this way, and it is okay to feel this way. Another aspect of this plan is to create a staff engagement committee. You really want your whole staff to be involved in this process. So I know this was talked a lot about in our Fieldstone cohort, but create a purpose of creating staff engagement committees. And it's a great tool for everyone to get engaged. So create a purpose and mission for the group and what you want to achieve. It's really important to create time for people to share their emotions and how they're feeling. And then make the implicit explicit. Reaffirm how important people are to your mission, to your team, how much you care for them, and how much they matter to you and the world around them, and how they're what they're influencing. Because when you get people engaged and you know that they feel cared for, there's more passion and energy to do the work, and they're more committed to achieving the mission. So I would love to open it up to the room now. I know we have about 10 minutes left on if you have any questions or ways that you have implemented strategies to build better connected teams.
I'll go. This is Brenda. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I just hired a new person on my team, and I noticed in the first couple weeks that, we weren't all jiving. So rather than telling them how to build, rapport, I asked them for suggestions. If they were in the new staff person's, position, what would they do? Or what would they like to have done? And so based on the feedback that I received, we're going to be having a lunch for Lunar New Year and sharing. We have a worksheet where we get to share some things that may help us relate to one another, and things like what's a special talent you have, what's a challenge that you may be facing. If there was a superpower, what would it be and why? Just to kind of get all of us, talking to each other as opposed to keeping that wall up. And so it's a nice way to celebrate a cultural holiday and get everybody, because food always brings people together. And then from there, we'll build on, things that we're going to be working on in 2022.
Thank you so much for sharing, Brenda. It shows how much you care about your team and your organization, and that you're taking the steps to make sure that they're engaged. And I think those are great strategies. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Hayley, for me, my leadership style will always be on the positive side. So I recently, the last 10 years of my life, learned how to oil paint, and I started that process with good old Bob Ross, and he said there is no mistakes, just happy accidents. And it really made me think about that in terms of fundraising. When I've had bosses that in 20 plus years of fundraising, I've had about 3 good ones, right? So, but the ones that did were the ones that believed in me, recognized that I worked hard, and had a positive influence. If I made a mistake, it was a mistake, and we just learned from it and moved on. It wasn't this, paper you fill out and talk to HR and all this junk that people do nowadays. And so for me, it's just being as positive as I can, believing in the team that I have, and getting them passionate about the organization and raising as much money as we can. So, we're all passionate, but I've met some people that aren't passionate for whatever cause I'm at. And I always wondered why that happened. So. those are my strategies.
Thank you, Tommy. Those are great strategies to really build each other up and make sure each person on the team feels valued. And I can see how much you care for each person that you've interacted with. So thank you for sharing.
You sing the chats, Hayley?
Yes.
Okay.
See. Yes, I love from Child Guidance Center, where they dedicate the first 20 minutes on successes and encourage others to provide shout outs for others. Yes, I think that's a great way to bring light to people and the good work that they're doing and how each person matters to each other and how important they are to achieving and being together as a team.
Hayley, I can't turn on my video. I'm sorry, I'm having issues with my camera. But after we finished our cohort, I talked to our leadership team, and in our organization, although we're small, we started a monthly, what we call a powwow moment with all of our coordinators, where they get to openly discuss any issues that are coming up so that they can work their way through it. And also in our weekly calls, we give shout outs to people as they achieve different, programs and they get through them, and, allowing them to get noticed for all the great work that they do.
I love that, Netta. You you learned from the cohort and was able to implement something within your own organization. That's amazing.
For any of you that have been through a learning group, we know we start everything with peaches and pits. And I think it's such a great way to, as an icebreaker, and you could call it whatever you want, but I think just knowing that you're going to have that opportunity to share a high and a low, and for everybody to see that you're vulnerable, I think is important. And especially, Tommy, you talk about leadership. I think it's important for us to see, if we do lead a team, to let the people that we lead see that we also have challenges and successes to share. And, I think it sets a really good example. So it's not just everybody else, but we're included. And that's, we're modeling that good behavior of being vulnerable and just establishing that rapport.
Tell me more about your saying here, peaches and pits. I've never heard of this before. I love peaches,
Well, and then the pit, there's a pit in every peach. So the peach is just a highlight. So it's a challenge. It's a success. It could be personal. It could be professional. But we start every learning group with, share a peach and a pit. So a peach might be, I just got a $100,000 grant, and a pit might be, but I just lost, my right-hand person and they are taking another opportunity. And so it's just a way to just kind of to show both sides of that and to celebrate the highs and the lows, and to know that as a team, you're going to get through that together.
And I've bitten into the pit once, and it's not a good feeling. So, but the peach is delicious all the way through until that part. So
exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. I'm going to use that from now on. I'm going to rip you off.
And you can, not proprietary.
Hayley, this is Michelle from Families Forward. A strategy that I've seen work well many years ago when I was in the hospital setting was a program we called Walk in Your Shoes, or Walk in Their Shoes. I can't remember exactly. And basically you would, for lack of a better word, it's like shadow a team member for like an entire day or half of the day to see what their day was like and understand their roles and responsibilities and maybe, joys and successes in their world. And that really helped build, I think, better communication and appreciation for each other. And I think it really helped to kind of solidify the, everyone really kind of come together in terms of our collective goals. So a little hard to do right now during COVID, but I think it could be for some settings a good strategy.
Love that.
I like that idea.
I think it's also important to start with, I hate the term employee. To me, everybody's a team member. But the second thing is to recognize that they're humans, right? That's a person that, I met Hayley, I don't know, a couple months ago, Hayley, and the first thing I learned about you is you're a mom, and you're stopping everything to be just a mom. And that's amazing. Not just a mom. I didn't mean to say it like that, but just being a mom. And that's amazing. People are, we're people behind our titles and and just like for me, when I have two people that report to me, and the one person, we always start off our meetings by, hey, how was your weekend? And I can tell you Ashley's dad's name or sister's name or nephew's name. They live in Huntington, all the things that I know about her that make her click, that make her happy. It's important, I think. And in return, she knows that about me, but also she works hard for me. She really does the things I need her to do with passion and reverence. Because why? I think it's because I care about her as a person and a team member more than anything. And that's one of the best strategies to have, in my opinion. But
Yes, I would agree, Tommy. You're building that connection on a personal level, and I think that goes so far, because you're showing that you really care for her and who she is beyond her role.
absolutely.
Hayley, I thought I might just add one thing to this, and it a little similar to a few things people have said, but like based on the nature of service that we provide to our population, there's milestones, but inch stones are far more frequent, and they're opportunities for the celebration that you referenced earlier. And so we're not there yet, but we've been really trying to model that into like all of our staff meetings and department meetings, actually inspired by one of our families who kind of coined that term themselves, so that they have the opportunity to celebrate more. And it's really energizing. And it's just, you don't have to like solve all the world's problems to celebrate. The little things matter too, and just being really intentional and creating space for those little moments to be shared.
I love that term. Thank you, Kevin, for sharing that. The inch stones. Those are
Clever, right?
important too. Yeah, I like it. I know we just have a few more minutes, so does anyone have any questions? Or I love these strategies that are coming out. They are all towards building better connected teams, and so I'm so proud to be in this space with you, because you are such a gift for offering what you're doing. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your own experience.
I just want to add quickly, just Hayley and I were chatting earlier. I think validation is so important. As we talked about earlier, it's, we all feel so alone at, so many times. And it's, we're doing great, meaningful, productive work, but it can be very, very isolating. And like I said, if, Fieldstone is known for anything, it's helping to avoid isolation and giving us all an opportunity to connect with one another and build those relationships and to validate. And I think, especially with burnout, I mean, Hayley, this is just so relevant. And I think, just by giving us permission to acknowledge the burnout and to pay attention to ourselves, pay attention to the people that we work with, and watch for those signs and just validate that they know they're going through a hard time. I think that that's so important, and it's so simple.
Well, thank you again all for sharing and for being here. The key takeaways are to build emotionally connected teams, become more emotionally intelligent yourself. And I know Amanda shared a great book in the chat box, Primal Leadership, that has surveys on how to test your emotional intelligence and other information on the 4 areas of self-awareness. And then let's just learn how to thrive together. You can contact me at any of the information below. I also hang out on LinkedIn. I didn't put that here, but you can find me on LinkedIn, DM me, or we can set up a conversation. I'd love to thrive together.
She's incredibly responsive on LinkedIn, by the way, everyone.
Hayley, thank you. I don't know if anybody has follow-up questions. I'm going to give you a sec to jump in and ask a question or another comment. We did promise a 45-minute chat. We're getting lots of thank yous. So I think everybody, again, I think it's just so timely for us to talk about this today, and it's a good way to start the year. I know I have a page full of notes. Hayley, thank you so much for sharing your passion with all of us and for, again, just validating that we are all going through this. I think it's a spectrum. At some points in the day, you might feel more burned out than others at some times of the week and of the month and of the year. But I think just being really mindful of it. I love the breathing because I think it helps us to really center ourselves and just pay attention to where we are and what we're doing. Because if we're burned out, we're not effective leaders. Again, we have to set an example. And I think it's really important for us to acknowledge where we're at so that we can best lead the people on our team. Again, I want to thank Janet and Marin from First Republic Bank. I want to thank all of you for joining. I'm looking forward to seeing some of you at our learning groups next week and the week after. And our reading group. I know that Misha's on, and we just have such an active network. If there are topics that you would like to know more about, please reach out to either of the Robins, myself or the other Robin, and we will find a speaker for you. If there's an area of expertise that you think you would love to share your superpowers with our network, also reach out to me, because we're always looking for new content. And I would much rather highlight somebody from our network than anyone else. So if there's something that you would like to provide, let me know. I'd love to have you featured. Hayley, it's always a pleasure to get your perspective, and you're very thoughtful and insightful, and I just appreciate you sharing your gift with all of us. So this will be recorded. So Robin will put it on our YouTube channel. You can access it. Feel free to share it with your team. And happy leading, happy 2022. Stay healthy, continue to be connected with one another. That's why we're here. And again, if you need anything, we're a resource for you, and we hope that you will reach out. Robin will be sending a survey out tomorrow. Our board of directors is asking for some more information as far as kind of a needs assessment of the county. So we're reaching out to both organizations within our network and outside of our network. It's a 3-minute survey. If you see it in your inbox tomorrow morning, just take the 3 minutes and answer it for us. It just helps us to better meet your needs. So without further ado, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Hayley. Thank you, leaders, and take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Hayley.